Kenco Logistics innovates to slash customers' chargebacks. We have three speakers. Christy Montgomery, Vice President Innovation, Research and Development, Kenco Logistics Services. Christy is responsible for leading innovation in the supply chain through value generation, research, and development of new solutions. She has 27 years leading supply chain technology and innovation initiatives for a top 10 North American 3PL. She earned her bachelor's in organizational management from Covenant College. We have Rick Olson, Executive Director, Logistics North America, Sealed Air Corporation. Rick is responsible for leading internal and 3PL logistics operations in North America. He has 28 years leading supply chain execution for 3PL and direct operations in consumer goods, building materials, packaging, medical, aerospace, and industrial sectors. He earned his bachelor's degree in business administration from Ferris State University. Puga Sankara, Principal Smart Gap Gladiator LLC. Puga is responsible for bringing disruptive technology into market to mobile-enabled supply chains, founding and building Smart Gladiator into a niche tech company playing the CEO role. He has 20 years of supply chain systems design, development, deployment, process improvement experience. Puga founded Smart Gladiator in 2014 after earning his MBA at Georgia Tech. Please join me in welcoming Rick, Christy, and Puga.
Thank you, Glenn. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our session this afternoon. I want to make sure everybody's got plenty of caffeine because we want you awake. We're going to talk about some exciting stuff, but I want you to be awake for it. So we want to talk today about a solution that Kenco Innovation Labs, which is a division of Kenco Logistics Services, created called LoadProof at the behest of our customer, Sealed Air. So Glenn has already introduced us, but there are our names and titles for your edification. Sealed Air, Kenco, and Smart Gladiator. So this product was created as a partnership between the three companies. The customer bringing us their problem, us coming up with a solution, and then outsourcing that to Smart Gladiator to develop the solution. So as you sit through this session today, there are a few things we'd like for you to take away with you. Innovation has to be customer-centric. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. It's one of the reasons why we formed Kenco Innovation Labs. Then we want to talk about how we leveraged a startup to see the success of LoadProof. We'll talk about how we utilize rapid prototyping with a minimum viable product to bring this product to market. We'll talk about how we commercialize the innovation LoadProof. And then Puga will talk a little bit about what we plan to do with the future of LoadProof. So with that, Rick, why don't you talk a little about who Sealed Air is?
Thank you, Christy. So Sealed Air is a packaging company, and recently just sold off one of the divisions, about 1/3 of our company. Actually, since we put this presentation together, we couldn't announce it at that point, but we're about $4.6 billion in revenue, servicing the food packaging industry and the consumer packaging goods industry. I guess our most recognized brands you'll know is Cryovac, Bubble Wrap. The original inventor of the Bubble Wrap is our founder of Sealed Air. We have about 23,000 employees worldwide, which is down to about 19,000 now. So a couple of the awards that we see on the right-hand side, you can look down those.
So Puga, why don't you talk a little bit about who Smart Gladiator is, and then I'll come back to Ken.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present in front of this audience, and thank you very much for the opportunity, Christy. Basically, Smart Gladiator is a technology company that's based out of Advanced Technology Development Center within Georgia Tech. I know many people don't know about ATDC, unfortunately. That's one of the largest incubator in the South. It's like the Y Combinator of the South, and they've so many companies not only raised money but grown so big, starting from that incubator. So we are there, and we are recognized as top 40 innovative companies in Georgia as well. And the mission of Smart Gladiator is to mobile-enabled supply chain. I mean, we are all, since 2007, 2008, the Apple, iPhones, and Android devices have changed our life upside down, right? We are constantly sending text messages, receiving text messages, taking pictures, and sharing it with our friends videos and uploading them to, YouTube, Facebook, so forth. So the mission of Smart Gladiator is to bring all those capabilities into the supply chain, into the distribution center. So, it's not just about data collection, but it's also about, collaboration. So that is, really the mission of Smart Gladiator, and we've got tremendous reception for our product in the market, and people love using our product. And it not only just improves productivity, it's so easy to use. It, can onboard new employees so much faster, and bringing all those capabilities into the supply chain and making life easier for operators, supervisors, managers, executives. That is the mission of Smart Gladiator, and that's a quick introduction. Thank you.
So I'm here representing Kenco Logistics Services. We are the largest privately held, woman-owned 3PL in North America. And we are very blessed to have year-over-year double-digit growth. We've been in business since 1950, founded in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we have a number of customers in the top Fortune 500. As you can see, some of the stats, they are at 30 million square feet, 90 plus facilities across North America. We move about $75 billion of product through our facilities every year. We have a little over 4,800 employees. I won't read all of the awards that we have won, but we were very privileged to be in the top 10 inbound logistics 3PL providers again this year. So that's a record that we're pretty proud of, and we continue to maintain that. So that's a little bit about the companies that were involved in this development. I'll talk a little bit about why we do this. So Kenco formed our innovation lab about 2 years ago because we realized our customers were facing a problem with innovation being a buzzword, not an executable solution. And we wanted to bring them a solution that could answer their pain points. So I would caution that if you don't have a problem, you don't need to innovate, right? And I think everybody in this room has some sort of problem that you can take a look at and say, how do I innovate around that pain point? How do I look at that challenge differently? So when you look at how we do customer-centric innovation, and this will make sense in a minute when Rick starts talking about his challenge, our role in this was to help our customers innovate around their supply chain. They spend all of their money, time, effort, resources innovating around their product or their service that they offer. They don't have a lot of dollars to spend around innovation in the supply chain. So that's where we come in. And we provide that supply chain innovation for them and drive value to their bottom line. And then we bring those vendors to the table, whether they're startups or they're long-term vendors in the software space or the supply chain space, to deliver on those options. Our mission is not necessarily to invent something new, although you're going to hear about LoadProof today, which is new, but it's to find those solutions that are innovative and bring them to the table for our customer. So we have a supply chain focus. We are customer facing. Most everything I do in my group is focused on our customers, not on our own internal business at Kenco. And we're looking for that win-win-win result. So as we look at that, we talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is LoadProof. Here's a little bit of an agenda of how we're going to go through this. We're going to talk about the challenge that Sealed Air specifically was facing and how that translates to the industry and what the industry as a whole was facing. Customer chargebacks, retail chargebacks, customer complaints. We're going to talk about the solution that we developed called LoadProof. We're going to talk about the results of that solution and what we've seen so far in its short 6-month life on the market. And then we're going to talk about the benefits and where we're going with the future of LoadProof. So with that, I'm going to ask Rick to talk a little bit about the challenge that Sealed Air was facing.
So several of the problems that we had revolved around the customer claims, and some of them are real claims and some of them are probably not so real claims, as we all probably know in this business. And either way, you end up having a return of some sort, a credit, and or damage on the way back, those types of things that you have to deal with. So we had high customer complaints, pretty much resulting in large credits coming back. You can take a look at one thing being packaged incorrectly, refusing an entire truckload, and you've got an $80,000 claim, those areas. And so it becomes fairly frustrating when you don't know whether the 3PL is executing to the SOPs, to how they inspect our products before they go out, or is this a customer mishandling it and replacing, and sending it back after mishandling it in their own operation, or is it a transportation claim? And you're kind of stuck in the middle, where either way, if you can't prove where the damage happened, or if the damage even happened, then you end up with a much larger problem, which is we eat the whole bill. So we're looking for ways to hold people accountable, and it's not just about reducing the claims, it's about holding people accountable to what is real. So the shortage claims, where all the pieces there, it seems really basic that people take pictures, but as anyone that's tried to take pictures in a large distribution center, and where you access those pictures and how you go back and fight a claim later, just the information, it's hard to get to. The one you're looking for, you don't have those types of things. Sure, we're following the process, but we don't have the details to be able to fight it. So that's kind of painting the problem. Our internal departments in IT have larger fish to fry, so we turned to our 3PL and said, hey, we need some help here, and that's how this starts.
So I'll talk a little bit about the industry challenge as a whole. When we took Rick's problem and we started doing some research on just what are our other customers facing and what are we seeing in the other warehouses that we have out there, we found that there were probably 80% of our customers facing the very same problem, that their customers were charging them back. And for those of you who aren't familiar with chargebacks, so that's when Rick ships his product to the customer accepts that, and then knocks off $20,000 on the invoice and doesn't pay them, because they feel like there was either a compliance issue or something was damaged or the pallets weren't stacked properly, the label wasn't on the right corner of the pallet, it wasn't shrink wrapped accurately. There's a number of different reasons, right? So that's a chargeback. It's when the customer actually takes a credit off of an invoice that you already have, and you have no way to prove, did you do it right or did they mishandle it when they got there? So when we looked at it, this is a recent survey by a consumer goods company that put this out there and worked with Gartner to get these results. Chargebacks are 13% of retail account revenue. Now think about that. Walmart, Target, Walgreens, all of your major retailers are generating 13% of their revenue based on these chargebacks that they're passing through to customers that they have no way to dispute. And so it results in lost income for our customer base, which we necessarily as a 3PL weren't always seeing. So this is why they brought us the challenge. They said, look, you don't see our invoices, we see them, but we have a major problem here. Something's going on in the warehouse. Either you guys aren't shipping it properly, or our customers are passing chargebacks to us that aren't actually chargebacks. And so we need to figure out how we help you and help ourselves at the same time. So we took on this challenge. We interviewed a number of our customers and we said, how are you doing this today? And as Rick alluded to, what we found is every single warehouse facility had a digital camera. They were taking at least 50 pictures per load, and then they were storing those pictures on a laptop. And as you all well know, when you have a digital camera and you download that little card into your computer, all of those pictures come through as DSC_1034, DSC_1035. And they have a date stamp, and that's all you know. And those chargebacks happen 3 to 6 months after the fact. And so 3 months from now, my customer, Rick, is coming to us and saying, hey, I need you to look back at a load that you loaded 3 months ago on this particular date to this particular customer and find this shipment number. Guess what? That was either going to take a ton of clerical time, 2 to 3, 4 days maybe, to find that, or we just weren't going to find it at all and he was going to have to accept the chargeback. And every single facility was doing this. First of all, it was lucky if they found the digital camera to take a picture before the shipment went out, because they needed the shipment to go out on time. So just inherently a lot of problems with the current process as it was happening. So what we did is we put together some focus groups of our warehouse employees that were dealing with this problem today. And we said, what are you facing? How are you handling it today? And what would you see as the ideal solution? And then we wireframed that out. We simply did a PowerPoint presentation on paper and said, this is what the solution would look like. Does that work? The focus groups gave us some amazing feedback and said, yes, this works. No, that doesn't work. Before we ever coded anything, they gave us a lot of feedback. This all happened within about a 2-week period of time, by the way. And then we created what we call the minimum viable product. So I'll explain that by saying, if the customer wants a donut, initially build a donut. Give him the donut and see if he likes it. Don't put one with sprinkles on it and icing and, put cherry on top and all that. Build the minimum viable thing that he's asking for and then figure out if that works, right? So that's what we did, and it took us about 90 days to prototype that with 5 of our different customers, one of them being Rick's facility. It took about 2 weeks to develop. In 90 days, we tested that. And so this is what we came up with. It's called Load Proof, and what it is, it's an image capture app that runs on iOS or Android, and it simply allows our warehouse workers to capture the pictures, input some information about those pictures, and quickly upload them to the cloud, and they're done, and they move on. Then the carriers, the customer service folks, our customers invoicing group, whoever it may be, have the ability to go into the cloud, take a look at those pictures, search by date, by shipment number, by load number, by bill of lading number, whatever choice, those fields are configurable, that they want, and find that information. And Puga's going to walk you through exactly how the app works, but it's very simple. Seems like it was a no-brainer, right? But the system didn't exist. In fact, we have a patent pending for this solution right now. So I'll tell you a little bit quickly about why we chose to outsource it. Kenco Logistics Services, as the name indicates, is a logistics services provider. We're not a software developer. We're not a software marketing company. We're not a software sales company. It's not our core competency. It's not what we do. So we chose to go to market and find the right partner that could take this solution. And as you heard Puga talking about mobile enabling supply chain, doesn't that sound perfect for a mobile app? So we found those guys. And for those of you who don't know, Chattanooga is about 2 hours north of Atlanta. So reaching out to the Atlanta ATDC was an easy move for us. So we knew that we couldn't develop this and release it to the market. We also knew that we wanted it to be available to our customers for their sites that weren't necessarily operated by Kenco. We didn't want to restrict them to, you have to put it in that Kenco site only. We wanted them to have the ability to take it broader within their network. So if you look at the timeline, it seems longer than it should be. However, the idea was generated in January. That's when Sealed Air came to us, January of last year. In February, we formed the focus groups, built the prototype, and then did a 90-day pilot of it. And then in June through December, we chose Puga's company, and we'll talk a little bit about the commercialization of that in a little bit. We applied for the patent, and we developed the solution, and then it went to full release in February of this year. So you can see very, very short development cycle there, and it is public today. So with that, I'd like to ask Puga to actually walk you through how the application works on both sides, on the app and on the website as well.
So it's a very simple app. I mean, it's not a whole lot of rocket science to it, right? I mean, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? Right? We are trying to document pictures, document scenarios, document any exception with pictures, and we want to make sure that we can go back to those pictures in the future, right? So it's important that we don't. The last thing we want to do is add a bottleneck. When all these LTL pallets, all these shipments need to go out. So we made it very, very simple. I mean, it's an app that you folks can go to the website, loadproof.com, and then download it. I mean, the link to both the iOS app and Android app is in the website itself. So it's download the app, and then there is a little bit of an admin work that needs to be done in the browser portal. So set up your corporate, set up your site, and create your users. Very, very basic, because we gotta have that, right? Only then we can appropriately give access to the users and managers and anybody that needs visibility at the different levels. So there is a really nice hierarchy that's being designed as well. So you folks could have visibility at the corporate level. That means for example, a VP sitting at a corporate level can have access to pictures on all the sites. And then there's also a network level. If there is a VP or an account executive that's managing relationship, for a specific customer that's operating multiple DCs or using multiple DCs in Kenco, they can have access to all the sites specific to that customer. That forms a network. And then
We've got a problem. They could have, packaging livestock, red meat. We have about 90% of the red meat market. And if we've got a bunch of packaging going out there, it's all pre-printed. It's for the, let's just say, 4th of July launch of beef ribs or something like that. And we've got a packaging problem. we've got to jump in a hurry to make sure that we've got this taken care of. When we can hold our 3PL warehouse company, our 3PL transportation company accountable to making sure that our product stays in pristine condition, then we've got some tools that we never had before. So, and then, of course, again, it's just the LTL claims, and that our internal auditors, departments, and our external auditors also enjoy the fact that we have pictures to be able to prove the way things are in our facilities.
So if you think about this and the broader implications of the holy grail of supply chain, which is visibility, we all hear it all the time, right? I can't solve all of it with this one tool, but I certainly can solve the condition of the product from the moment it leaves the manufacturing floor to the moment it arrives at the customer facility. So if I'm capturing the photos of the product as it leaves the manufacturing plant, as it arrives at my warehouse, and as it leaves my warehouse, as it then arrives at a pull point or at a consolidation facility, and then as it arrives at my customer's distribution center, and then finally at potentially my end customer. If I can capture those pictures along the entire supply chain, I can now provide visibility to the state of that product as it traveled along, and potentially identify some areas for opportunity there for us, whether it's in the transportation line or it's in the warehousing process or wherever the case may be. Even be able to go back to our customer and say, you know what, this packaging that you've changed to, this company has great packaging, but oftentimes we find our customer makes a packaging change, not understanding how it's going to impact the supply chain, right? Now we have the ability to prove along the path as it moves and moves and moves, every touch now causes us to have additional damage. And so potentially they should rethink that packaging. It's not a supply chain issue, it's an upstream issue, and we have the ability to help our customers identify that. So if you think about that kind of all the way through the supply chain, Bloodproof has the ability to provide visibility to that product status as we go along. So I'll give you some examples of additional customer benefits that we've had with Bloodproof outside of just Rick's operation. So you've heard a little bit about the customer satisfaction portal. I can't tell you how many comments I've received from customers saying this is such a great tool. I can go in there and I can log in myself. I don't have to call the warehouse a million times a day and say, what happened with this shipment? What does it look like? Why is it damaged? I have that ability to say, just log in and search for that particular shipment number, and they can find it and look it up for themselves. So it's reduced a lot of clerical time within our facilities for people calling and asking for proof of information. We have one particular customer who ships an awful lot of their product to Home Depot and Lowe's as a consumer goods, durable goods customer. And the constant complaint with that is your documentation is not right, or it didn't come with the product. And we're now able with Bloodproof to show them that yes, the documentation was there and it was accurate as to what was loaded on the truck. And so we can push them directly to the portal, which they do. They send their person to the portal and say, yes, we did, here it is. And so we've had that customer save a pretty good amount of money doing that. We've avoided some fines with DEA compliance in that we've been able to prove that we have the licenses to ship into the states that we can ship into again. We're able to send people directly to the portal. They can see proof that the license exists. Oftentimes we have trailers arrive at the warehouse that are already damaged as they're an inbound empty trailer coming in. We're able to take pictures with Bloodproof and push that back to the carrier to say it was damaged before it arrived at the facility, and therefore we've avoided some fines on damage of trailers for our carriers. And then we've had quite a bit of in-freight claims that we've been able to avoid as well. So there's a lot of opportunity here. Compliance and international shipments. I don't know how many of you ship into international markets, but we've had a particular customer who's really struggled with the product status as it arrives after a container on the ship. So we can prove that we loaded it on the container properly, so that again, it doesn't come back to a charge against the customer or a charge against us at our warehouse facility. So, and these are results that we found after only 4 months into market availability. So a lot of potential opportunity with the product, and we're finding customers really love it, and it continues to grow from the rollout. And I put these two quotes on here. I'm not going to read them to you, but what I wanted you to understand from this was, as Pooh referred to it earlier, it's just the simplicity of the use from a warehouse user's perspective. You know, it enables them to be accountable. It enables them to hold their teams accountable for what they did. And at Rex Point, sometimes find opportunity for coaching their associates on how to do things better. They're not quite following proper procedures. So these are a couple of our supervisors, operations managers who have really found the solution to be useful in helping them streamline processes, reduce man hours, and coach their employees about how to use the system. And I'm not sure Rick made this point, but one of the points on his slides was just that it was very easy to integrate into the existing process. It didn't impact the timing of getting things out the door and of the employees being able to achieve their standards that we've created for them to hit in the warehouse as far as their KPIs. So it's been a great process. So here are some things we are talking about doing with the system in the future. All of these are in the patent application. The first two, I'm happy to report, are one of them is done. The second one will be done in the next few months, the Excel export of the picture file. So we're well underway with adding functionalities to the system. We've talked about a number of additional things. Could have referred to integration with your supply chain execution systems and how do you do that to enable the supply chain. So we're working on that. We've also had a number of customers request, hey, we don't want to use it on our mobile app. We want to have a fixed mount camera that's just capturing information that we can go in and key in the information later and it upload to the cloud just like it does on the mobile app. So we talked about how we do that. We've also talked about GPS tagging the photos, which is a little bit difficult, but it's something we've talked about, and positioning within the warehouse. What zone of the warehouse are you in when you took the picture? And then can we upload videos? We've had a number of customers ask that question instead of just a picture. Could we actually video what the lift truck driver is doing as he loads it? So you can see that as he loads it into the container or into the trailer, he's loading it properly and stacking it properly. So a lot of additional functionality that we're talking about adding to the system, and it's all customer driven. It's as they are seeing it, using it, and finding the value, they're coming back and saying, hey, we'd love to have this functionality as well. So let's talk a little bit about the barriers that we faced and the lessons we learned as we rolled this solution out. A lot of our warehouse facilities being in the 3PL market, it's our customers' warehouse management system, it's our customers' Wi-Fi network, and a lot of them have really stringent security requirements. So we had to either do it in batch mode, which the system is capable of doing, or we use a cellular connection, which can eat into a lot of data requirements. So Hoog and his team did a really good job of making those uploads extremely small from a cellular data usage perspective. So we're not talking about a lot of money and time and effort to upload that information. We have it where we can set at the network level how large the pictures are from a size perspective. So that as the manager or the administrator of the site, I can say we want all of our pictures to be small because we know they're going to be cellular. Or if I'm on a Wi-Fi network and I don't care about bandwidth, I can make it a huge file. So we've also found, interestingly enough, as much as customers want to push back on the chargebacks, if they're in a soft market with their customers, then they will say, I don't want to make them mad right now. It's not a good time for us to be pushing back on our customers. So they oftentimes will be reluctant to use the product for that. We initially did not necessarily create an online demo because we thought this was such a simple solution. It should be fairly easy to grasp from just going to the website. However, we've had a lot of requests for that, so I'm pleased to announce there is an online demo now. And then it's interesting the impact that this has had on the clerical staff and the folks who actually process claims. So now to Rick's point, customers know we're doing this, and so they don't push as many claims through, so the claims adjustment staff is going, you're putting me out of a job. And so they're not terribly happy about this sometimes. So, and then we've also found that we were really targeting that chargeback issue. That was where we thought we were gonna really have a product that was gonna solve the problem. And what we found, and I think Rick mentioned it as far as his quality internal audit group, is that there's almost as much value for compliance and regulatory compliance and auditing as there is for being able to prove that you don't need to be charged back for something. So side effect of having this solution is we've had an awful lot of quality uptick on the usage of this product. So, which is great, we love it, but it was a little bit unexpected, so not as much a barrier, just a challenge as we looked at it. We didn't really build it for that solution, so we've had to add a few features to make it really work better for an audit functionality. So I'll talk a little bit about how we leveraged a startup to do this and how we commercialized that agreement. So as we looked at the market and said, we have to find somebody to build this for us because that's not who we are, that's not what we do. We realized that we needed that partner out there. We chose a startup company specifically because they could be more agile, they could be more flexible, and they were also more innovative, quite frankly. They were willing to think bigger picture and how could they build this to take it to market in a very different way than traditional software products go to market. So there were three kind of key elements of the success, and the first, I would say, is not in this order, but was the master services agreement. So we created an agreement with Puga and his company where we have the ability to now add on SOWs as much as we want to, and we can create more products by just simply adding a statement of work for a brand new product. And so that agreement's in place between us, and we understand how we can go to market with pretty much anything we want to do from now forward. And we also outline in that SOW what's the product life cycle, what's new releases going to look like, what's support going to look like. All of those things are commercialized in that agreement between us. And then we developed a joint marketing plan because Puga has a lot of customers in that space of mobile enabling the supply chain, and we have a lot of customers as a 3PL. So we said, how do we go to market with this? So it was a great partnership leveraging a startup to do an innovative new technology release. So with that, I would like to ask Puga, since he's the primary marketer, what are the benefits as you've seen him of the system so far?
I mean, even though we started this just for the load-proof, problem, right? I mean, the initial problem that we solved was to provide proof for all the loads that were loaded on the truck. But I mean, we all know, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. And when we talk to other people that have general issues, I mean, that's part of our standard customer discovery process. Wherever we go, we sit at least an hour with a supervisor, with a operator, with a end user, and understand, hey, what can we do to make your life better, right? That's a standard question that we ask. And some of the things that came up were related to pictures. Hey, if I can show picture when I have a claim situation, if I can show picture, the problem is solved right away, no questions asked. It just makes my life so much easier. So, where and all, there is opportunity to use pictures in your warehouse. So if if there is a tool that is readily available, either in the form of a mobile device or something else that I can leverage in my job, in my daily function, all the things